Okay, well, good evening. Welcome. I'm a little not well, so class will be shorter than usual today. We're continuing our study of Bhagavad-gita chapter 9. Today we'll cover only one verse, 926. In the previous passage, in verses 920 through 25, Krishna, you can maybe close the window too, because there's a lot of things. In the previous passage, verses 20 through 25, Krishna juxtaposed worship of demigods next to worship of himself. Because in India, worship of demigods is very popular. Of course, in America also, worship of our version of demigods is very popular. Cardi B, Beyonce, all these people. They're very popular to worship some great personality. And usually people do so because they can get temporary desires fulfilled very quickly. So they're naturally attracted to that. So Krishna wanted to juxtapose that worship next to devotion to himself. So he mentioned that those who worship the demigods, then they perform pious activity. It's called punya. And by that punya, they get to enjoy after this life opportunity to go to heaven. That is called swarga. And in swarga, they can enjoy nicely. But with every enjoyment, you exhaust whatever you built up a pious activity. So krinye punye martim lokam vishanti. So when your piety runs out, then again you have to come back down. So Krishna says, for all the endeavor that you make to worship the demigods, the only thing you get from that is repeated birth and death. The enjoyment you get is coming from piety, and because piety can be exhausted, that sort of enjoyment is also temporary and short-lived. So then, well, what about worship of you? So Krishna wants to say, but those who worship me, that I personally give enjoyment to my devotee. So he says in 922, Ananya Shantayantoma Dejana Paripasate Dityabi Yuktana Tesham Dityabi Yuktana Yoga Shema Bahamiha. So he said, I personally carry to my devotees whatever they require, whatever they need for their maintenance. So the idea here is that my devotee gets enjoyment also, but it's enjoyment that is personally given by me. Because I am eternal, that which I give is also eternal. So then again, he mentions about the demigods. Those who worship the devatas, someone may say, well, worship of the devatas, they are also you. You have mentioned earlier in describing his opulences that the devatas were part of his universal form. So they are also you. So why should they not get something eternal also? That seems like you're like cherry picking. I like this one, I don't like that one. So then Krishna says in 923 to 24, yes, that those who worship the devatas, they actually only worship me. But they, yajanti avidi purvakam, they do so, avidi purvakam means not according to the right rules. Or they worship the demigods, but not with rules to attain me, but rules to attain the temporary fruits of their worship. So they naturally get that. So in 925, he says, Yanti Deva Vrati. Yanti Deva Vrata Deva, Pitre Yanti Pitre Vrata. This famous verse. Those who worship the devatas, they go to the devatas. Those who worship the forefathers, they go to the forefathers. Those who worship, I always like to say this, hobgoblins and gremlins and werewolves and vampires and witches, and you go to those entities in mode of ignorance. And those who worship me come to me. So it's not unfair. It's according to the process that you take, you get that result. That is what Krishna wants to say. So now in 926, that is a verse we want to discuss today, 926. So Krishna wants to say that, speak about the ease of devotional service to himself. Because earlier in 9.2, when he was glorifying the topic, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Midam Uttamam. Pratyaksha avagamam dharmyam susukam kartum abhyam. Krishna says about this bhakti yoga that is susukam kartum. It is happily performed. Very happily performed. So the idea is to contrast this with other processes. They're very difficult to perform, especially Vedic ritual. We don't have any experience of Vedic ritual. But maybe some of you have experience of like the Catholic Church and the rituals that are there. So they get very complex and very boring also, and complicated. In the Vedic culture, it's even more elaborate than that. And the dangerous thing about that is that if you make any mistake, then in the Vedic ritual, then your pious activities immediately turn into impiety. One little mistake and you can get a severe reaction. Just like this famous example is given in the 6th canto, where Indra killed Vishwarupa. He was son of Brahmana. So the father of Vishwarupa, his name was Twashta. He wanted revenge on Indra. So he performed some Vedic ritual by which he can create a creature who can kill Indra. But he pronounced one syllable wrong in uttering the mantra. And so instead of getting an entity that can kill Indra, what was born was someone who would be killed by Indra. Just because he made one syllable incorrect, so he got the opposite result that he was looking for. Also, Krishna in glorifying yoga, bhakti yoga, earlier in Bhagavad-gita 240, Neha Vikrama Nashosti Prativayana Vidite. He says that there is no loss or diminution in this process. Because in Vedic ritual, unless you complete it to the end, then everything is lost. And unless you do it perfectly, then you get reactions. But he's saying the performance of this bhakti yoga, there is no loss or diminution. That means that even if you don't perform it to the end, you still get benefit. And even if you perform it with discrepancies, it still purifies. There's no fault. So in this way, bhakti yoga is susu kam kartum and very happily performed, and you don't have to be worried about the blade of your neck if some mistake is made. So in 926, he glorifies the ease of this bhakti yoga, which he had previously mentioned in 9.2. So the ease of this bhakti yoga is indicated in 926. So we just look at this particular verse. It says here, 926, very nice. Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Tadaham bhakti upahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. So this Prabhupada's translation. If one offers me with love and devotion, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So, yome bhaktya prayachati. So anyone who offers me bhaktya through devotion, taraham bhakti uparitam. Then he says, I accept that, tat aham, I accept that, bhakti uparitam, which was offered in devotion. So that's a little redundant. So our acharyas want to make comment about that, why this word bhakti is coming twice. Because the word bhakti means, in Sanskrit, this word bhakti is in the instrumental sense. So that means bhakti is an instrument by which you're making an offering to God. So that is in the instrumental sense. And then bhakti uparitam means also offering with bhakti. So it is redundant. So the acharyas wanted to make comment why Krishna is saying like this. Usually, and Sanskrit poetics is considered a very big fault to be redundant. So it is not expected that the personality of Godhead will be redundant, because that would be considered a fault in like the poetry. The Gita is also poetry at the end of the day. Even the verses are rhyming, you can hear them rhyme. Even you don't speak Sanskrit, but you can hear how they rhyme. So it is poetry. So it is considered a fault to be redundant. So the acharyas make explanation about this. One of our acharyas says the word bhaktya, which is instrumental case, I offer with devotion. He said it means bhaktya sahita. And explanation is indicating that which is offered by the genuine devotee, a real devotee. This is a translation here. A person endowed with genuine devotion, the real devotee. Bhaktya means a person endowed with genuine devotion, the real devotee. This is a contrast with persons who have a spurt of devotion, but they're not really devotee. You understand? Just like the story Srila Bhakti Siddhanta tells of one person. He was in, I guess he was Brijbasi. He was in Vrindavan. And he bought some popcorn. I don't know why popcorn was used, but he bought some popcorn to go meet some lady. And while he was walking on his way to meet the lady, some strong wind came and blew the popcorn out of his hand that was blowing over the Jamuna. So as the popcorn was blowing, he said, Govindaya Namaha, which means, Govinda, this is for you. Actually, his intention was to give the popcorn to this lady, but seeing that the circumstances or such. When had come, so Govindaya Namaha. Of Duryodhana, when they were making politics for the war. So Duryodhana wanted to convince Krishna to fight on his side. So he made one big pandal program, pandal like a big huge tent, and invited Krishna to come. And there was like so many nice opulent things prepared and so on. And Krishna, on his way, he walked right past the pandal and went straight to the house of his devotee, Vidura. He didn't even pay any attention to this huge opulent offering that was made by Duryodhana. Because Duryodhana had no bhakti. He was against the Pandavas. He wanted them dead. So that is like wanting Krishna dead also, because the pure devotees are the heart of Krishna. So he just ignored that completely and went to the house of his devotee, Vidura. So when Vidura wasn't home, so his wife was there. So she immediately went into ecstasy. Oh my God, Krishna is here. So she came and offered Krishna some bananas. And in the stupor of ecstasy, devotional ecstasy, she peeled the banana. And then throughout the banana, I was offering Krishna the pill. Krishna said, very nice. And he ate it. Not only one, two, or twice, but 3 times he ate. This happened 3 times. She was in ecstasy. So although that was not exactly a proper offering, but she was a genuine devotee. And so it was accepted. Similarly, the definition of pure devotion, Anya Bilashita Shunyam, Gyana Karmadya Navritam, Anukuyena Krishna Nushlanam Bhaktir Uttama. So in this definition of pure devotion, it is mentioned Anukuyena Krishna Nushilanam. What is the swarup or essence of bhakti? It is to offer, continuously offer. Anushilanam means continuously with your mind, body, and words, you should direct at Krishna. So your mind should be directed at Krishna, Anushilanam, continuously. Your words should be directed at Krishna, Anushilanam. And your body should be directed in service, Anushilanam, continuously. So Srila Rupa Goswami says, he also qualifies this by saying Anukuyena. That direction towards Krishna should also be favorable. Because there are some persons who direct all their mental, physical, and words at Krishna, but unfavorably, such as Shishupal and Kamsa. Kamsa was 100% Krishna conscious, 100%. Even when he would go to the bathroom, he was thinking of Krishna. Do you do that? Anyway, don't answer that. That's a rhetorical question. Hey, you go to the bathroom, he was thinking of Krishna. Whatever he was thinking of Krishna, but he was pratikula Krishna. He was not anukula, not favorable. He was unfavorable. So in order to qualify, similarly, Mother Jasoda, she's also offering all of her mind, body, words to Krishna. But one time, when she was feeding Krishna her breast milk, the milk that she was cooking for Krishna was boiling over. So she went to tend to that boiling milk, because the idea in devotional service is that which is used for the pleasure of Krishna is considered even more valuable than direct service to Krishna, because that thing is meant to give pleasure to Krishna. So devotees will really hold that very sacred. So she put Krishna down to get the milk, and Krishna was very displeased by that. So if definition of pure bhakti was only continuous acts for Krishna's pleasure, then Mother Jasoda would not be counted as a devotee, because she displeased Krishna. And similarly, demons like Kamsa, or another example is Chanura and Mushtika, they were wrestlers. And they were very buff. And when Krishna went to the arena of Mathura, he fought with them, and he was very happy to fight with them, because he has virarasa, he likes to fight. So they were giving pleasure to Krishna. So in that way, the demons would be considered as devotees, and Mother Jasoda would be considered as a non-devotee. So therefore, Rupa Goswami has qualified the word Anushilanam, continuous direction of the mind, body, words, with the word Anukuyena, which means favorable and devoid of hostility, for Krishna's pleasure, like this. So yes, this word bhakti, the reason bhakti is used twice here in this verse is to say a genuine devotee, a real devotee whose intention is actually to please Krishna, and not someone who just incidentally pleases Krishna because he happens to like to fight, but you hate him, or something like that. Yeah, so Krishna says here, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam. You can offer Krishna something very simple. Patram means a leaf, a flower, fruit, water. So it doesn't have to be a big offering. It can be a banana peel also. And it doesn't even have to be a physical object. It can be a mental object also. So just like one time Lord Chaitanya was going from Puri, he was trying to go to Vrindavan. And so one devotee was living far away from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he just, in his mind, he made like a golden road for Lord Chaitanya to walk on. Golden road with nice flowers and birds chirping and everything. And then in his meditation, he couldn't go past one place called Kanai Natashala, which was one place in between Vrindavan and Puri. He couldn't somehow, his meditation, he couldn't move past that location in his meditation. And so he realized that Lord Chaitanya won't make it to Vrindavan this time. He will stop at Kanai Natashala and he will go back to Puri. And indeed, that actually happened. So Prabhupada makes a point here that you can make offering in your mind if you're a real devotee with real devotion. Krishna will also accept that. And the idea here is that for Krishna, there's no difference between gross and subtle matter. If you offer Krishna an apple, that is gross matter. And you offer Krishna something in your mind, that is subtle matter. So what is the difference of gross and subtle matter that before Krishna? It is all matter, only prakriti. He's not interested in anything prakritic at all. He doesn't enjoy prakriti. You understand? So what he's actually eating is the bhakti, the bhakti infused apple. Whether that apple is a gross apple or whether that apple is offered in the mind, it is infused with the devotion of the devotee. And it is that devotion that he's eating. So here the word is actually used, eat. Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhakti prayachati taraham bhakti uparitam ashnami. Ashnami means I will eat it. So really he's eating that bhakti yoga. Whatever is offered with bhakti yoga, he's eating that. It may be a leaf, it may be a flower, it may be water. It may be something in your mind also, some meditation you're offering. He will eat that if you are a real devotee. That is the only stipulation. You can't be an incidental devotee. You have to be a real devotee. Last point that comes up here. Yes, the word prayata atmanaha. This is the last phrase in the verse. Prayata atmanaha means that the body should be pure. Prayata atmanaha, Prabhupada translated in the word to word, for one in pure consciousness. So the word atmanaha can refer to the body, can refer to the mind also, and intelligence, like the subtle body. So prayata atmanaha, our acharyas say, means that the devotee should be ritualistically pure, like when he's going on the altar. So it's not that you can just like come straight out of the bathroom and make an offering to Krishna. There should be ritualistic purity. So if there is some impurity, then that Krishna won't accept that necessarily. Or our acharyas say or. Whenever the acharyas say or, this usually means that this is their real point. Like they usually offer some point and then they'll say or. And that whatever comes out to the or is like what they really feel is the meaning of the verse. So prayata abhinav means or their minds are pure. They have pure minds. So they're making offering with pure mind. One verse is quoted in this regard. I want to pull up this verse. So what makes, the devotee, he's actually a devotee in the mind. Just like Krishna will say later in this chapter also, Mamana Bhava Ma Bhakta, Mamya Jimam Namaskuru. So he says, think of me and also be my devotee. Mamana means you should think of me, Ma Bhakta, and be my devotee. So why Krishna, if you're thinking of Krishna, aren't you a devotee? Bola, if you're thinking of Krishna, aren't you a devotee? No. Huh? Not everyone who thinks of Krishna is a devotee. Kamsa was thinking of Krishna, Shishupal was thinking of Krishna. Or just today, we saw Willow Smith. This is Will Smith's daughter. She was singing Janavi's song on her Instagram or something. She has chops. A very beautiful voice. Yeah, she's singing very nicely. So she was also thinking of Krishna, but she is not necessarily a devotee. So prayata abhinaha means with a pure mind. And a pure mind means that you are actually a devotee of Krishna. You're thinking of Krishna. You're thinking of his pleasure. And our acharyas quote one nice verse here. There's a beautiful verse from the second canto, chapter 8, verse 6. It's a very nice verse. Do tatma purusha Krishna padamula namunchati mukta sarvapari klesha panta swasharanamyata. This very nice verse. A pure devotee of the Lord whose heart has been cleansed by the process of devotional service never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. Did y'all hear that? Did you hear that? Should I read it again? Didn't hear. A pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart has been cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. Dotatma Purusha Krishna Padamula Namuchati. Dota Atma means his heart has been cleansed by Bhakti Yoga. And what is the evidence of that being cleansed? Krishna Padamulam Namuchati. He will never relinquish the feet of Lord Krishna. That is the evidence of his purity. So the idea in saying is that externally he may not actually have the purity that you would expect to see from exalted devotees. When you hear about devotees, they have all the wonderful qualities and all that. So usually we want to look for someone, we say someone is a devotee if we can see that, right? Oh, he's compassionate, or she's compassionate, empathic, they're prideless, and then we say he's a devotee. But actually, the evidence of devotion is that they will not relinquish the feet of Lord Krishna. They may be crazy fellow also, for the time being, because they're new, they're still in the process of getting purified, so a little crazy, a little totally attached to sense gratification. But they are still called as devotee because their conviction, I will never leave Krishna no matter what. Our Acharya is right about this. The sign of their purity is the fact that they cannot give up the service to my lotus feet. Even if there is a trace of lust or anger, it is insignificant, like the bite of a toothless snake. So that means sometimes their program of sense gratification may be going on, but they'll never give up devotion to Krishna. This is called purity. And then by that purity, they will become more and more successively pure. So Krishna will accept from them also, because they are real devotees. So sometimes you see some devotee, you know he's doing sense gratification, like some sense gratification you're not supposed to be doing, and everyone know he's doing that particular sense gratification. Then he comes and leads like an ecstatic kirtan, and you want to find fault with him because you're envious. No, he's not. He's a phony devotee. He's fake. He's fake. Why he, doing like this and here? No, because he may be neophyte or immature. But just that desire to worship Krishna and to not leave that worship, Krishna is called as purity. So Krishna is very happy with that particular offering. So this is the meaning here. So Krishna is saying that it's very easy to make an offering to Krishna. You can do it in your mind also. There, Patram Pushpa Palam Toyam. The other interesting thing about this Patram Pushpa Palam Toyam, Patram means it's in the singular. So one leaf, one flower, one fruit, one cup of water. Not even a lot, because maybe you're poor or maybe you're lazy, whatever the case may be. So Krishna knew that my devotees may sometimes get lazy also. But he will offer me at least one thing. At least one thing he will give. So it's very easy. This verse is expressing it's very easy to please Krishna. Only thing is you have to be a devotee. That is the only stipulation. Then it's very easy to please him. I don't know anyone in the whole existence that is satisfied just by me saying their name. If I just say their name, Travis, you become very delighted in heart. Yes. You want something more practical than that. As a Travis, you're like, yes. Can you also give something? But Krishna is so wonderful that just by saying Krishna, he feels indebted to his devotee. Indebted. This picture is there of Draupadi. So she's getting disrobed by the core of an army. Duryodhana, it's in the back actually. There's a picture, you can go and see it. It's a beautiful picture of Draupadi being saved by Krishna. Duryodhana wanted to defame her because one time he came to Indraprastha, which was the home of the Pandavas before they were exiled. And they had one floor that sometimes looked like water and sometimes looked solid. So it was hard to tell. So Duryodhana kind of walked in thinking it was solid, but it was like water. He fell inside the floor. And Draupadi was on the balcony. She saw that and she started giggling. And I promise you, there's nothing more painful to a male ego, especially Kshatriya, than a lady giggling at you. Not because you cracked a joke, but like actually like, and she passed some remark also. She said, like father, like son, because the father is blind. So she said, like father, like son is also blind. He cannot see. So Duryodhana was burning with envy from that statement. So then there was gambling match, and the Pandavas gambled her away also. Long story, so we don't have time to tell all the details. So Duryodhana wanted the revenge, so he wanted to defame her in front of everyone. So she was looking at her husbands. They weren't doing anything because technically they had gambled themselves away, so they were considered as slaves basically. So they weren't doing anything. Bhishma was there, pious Bhishma. Vidura also was there. I think he left. There were so many, there were so many pious men there. They weren't doing anything. Can you imagine how painful that situation? I mean, you can't even think of how painful that is. All the persons who are meant to give protection, especially to women, they're just standing there not doing anything. So finally, she just said, there is no other shelter, only Krishna. So she began screaming out the names of Krishna, Govinda, Damodar, Mandavati. So then Krishna supplied a limited sari cloth. So as Dushasana was pulling the cloth, it was never getting over. He got tired. Then I said, all right, let's just go to bed. So Krishna came to the rescue. So there's one verse quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that said, just when Draupadi, this is Krishna speaking, when Draupadi said my name, Govinda, I felt eternally indebted to her. And I don't know how I will repay the debt. Just because she said his name. Do you know anyone who feels like that, indebted to you because you said their name? So what is the difficulty in pleasing Krishna? The only thing is you have to be a devotee. That is the only stipulation. In this material world, if you want to please someone, you have to struggle. And even after struggle, they're not happy with you. That's the extraordinary thing. Even if you may, I'm sure all of you have experienced relationships that you really tried to make work, and they didn't. You have this experience? You tried to make it work, and why didn't it work? Finally, you weren't pleased also, and they also weren't pleased. And so the relationship dissolves very easily. You have to work very hard to please someone in this world. But to please Krishna is very easy. Simply chant Hare Krishna or offer him one leaf, one flower. We were hearing also from Radha Govinda Maharaj. He made a nice point. He said, you can go to work. Radha Govinda Maharaj is one of our exemplary sannyasis in ISKCON. He is famous in our ISKCON for being a lover of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He gives bhagavad-gitas in India. If you go to Vrindavan, our Krishna Malar Mandir, they have this one hall called the Krishna Hall. So it's like a gigantic, huge prasadam hall. And when everyone else gives class, they do it in the temple room. Temple room is very small. So, because not so many people show up for the class, so it's more than enough space. But when Radha Govinda Maharaj comes, they have to go to the Krishna Hall. Literally 1,000, 2,000 people will come to hear him from all over the place to hear his katha. There's very famous, many times they glorify saying that many times they would discover him falling asleep with the Bhagavatam on his face. Because he would read the Bhagavatam until he couldn't read it anymore. And then the book would just fall on his face and the disciple would have to come and remove. So he's very glorious, powerful, amazing devotee. His katha is very famous in our ISKCON. So he also told that even if you go to work hard all day, you can go home after a hard day of work and make some tea and offer to Krishna and then sit down and tell him how your day went. And he said, this is bhakti. I just thought that was very, very sweet, very personal. You can have a personal relationship with Krishna and sit down, make some tea, just like you have some guests over, so you pour a little bit for Krishna, you pour a little bit for yourself. And so today was heavy, Krishna. This girl, she said something to me, and I couldn't think of you after that because she criticized me and I wanted the revenge. So I felt really bad about that. You have some exchange with Krishna. This is bhakti. That's how easy Krishna is very satisfied with that. How many people are doing that? So many people come inside and just, see, don't even look at the deities, go out. No relationship, no exchange. They don't ask the deity for anything. They don't reveal their heart. That is one of the angas of bhakti. There, we'll see when we study Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there are 64 angas. So one of these 64 angas is to actually reveal your heart to the deity. Go before the deity and just tell, this is the situation. So Krishna is also satisfied with that. You just want to have some exchange. The only stipulation is you should be a devotee. So this is a very nice, very satisfying verse, very encouraging. So I'll stop there because I'm tired. I'm a little sick, so. Are there any questions or comments? Anyone wants to say anything before we go? Otherwise, I will ask for yes.
I just like what you just told us about how offerings to Krishna don't have to be material, like fruit and flowers and things. Yeah. It's like a mental apple or a mental pear.
Yes.
I just like that. Because That's cool.
Yes, in some places, the devotees actually have to do that because there may be persecution is going on.
Okay.
There's one story that I'll tell too. There's one story told in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of one Brahmana. He was very, very poor. And so he went to some class and he heard like this in the class also that you can make offering in the mind. So he felt very satisfied to hear that. So he began making offerings to Krishna in the mind with all sorts of paraphernalia. And one time he was cooking sweet rice for Krishna and he wanted to make sure that the sweet rice wasn't too hot before he offered it to Krishna in his meditation. So in his meditation, he was put his finger in the sweet rice to make sure that the sweet rice wasn't too hot. So when he was meditating like that, he put his finger in the sweet rice, he burned his finger, and he came out of his meditation, his finger was actually burned. So this story is told in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So then Krishna began laughing. Lakshmi asked, "Why are you laughing?" So yeah, I played one trick on my devotee. After that, Lord Narayana goes to this Brahmana, he delivers him from the bondage of birth and death. All the stories there, the devotees, Western Europe, Russia, they were being persecuted for a long time, for a period of time. And many of their offerings of devotion had to be mental. So that is also satisfying. Who is thinking of Krishna? Even I chant Hare Krishna, I don't think of Krishna. So just by thinking, he becomes satisfied. So that is very encouraging. When you're dying, your voice may be choked up with mucus. You may be your body may be, destroyed by disease or something like that. Simply by thinking of Krishna, you can attain perfection. In fact, the whole purpose of all the other angas and muscles is to think of them. So yes, yeah.
I was thinking that, devotional services. Well, you say pleasing Krishna is so simple, but it seems like it's like the anticipation of the conditioned nature of the souls in Kali Yuga. Therefore, there's all these stipulations and rules and regulations that are available in order to guide us in getting to that platform of purity.
Yes.
Would that be like the correct?
Yes, of course, Krishna is pleased, but you don't feel that. You may not be directly experiencing that yet, so you have a dissatisfied heart. Right? I can say, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna is pleased. So you also say Hare Krishna. But then still the lust is sitting there and all these things. You're not getting that tangible experience of Krishna's pleasure in the form of reciprocation, in the form of his darshan, in the form of ruchi or taste for bhakti inside. So for those devotees who are wanting that experience, so our acharyas have very mercifully delineated sadhana bhakti. That's how you get it. So that is their kindness upon us. That yes, you want to experience Atma Suprasidhiti. The sages of Naimisharanya, they also ask this question, how we can get Atma Suprasidhiti. What sadhana we have to follow to get Atma Suprasidhiti? And so the answer is coming, Shravanam, Kirtanam, and the stages are developed. So that is just their mercy. These famous verses are there from Srimad Bhagavatam. Yaya samohito jiva atmanan trigunatmakam paropi manyate anartam takritam chabipadita. I always quote these verses. They're very important ones. Because these verses of the Bhagavatam are the heart of Srila Vyasadeva. And if you want to understand a book, you should understand the heart of the author, isn't it? If you understand the heart of the author, then you can easily understand what the book is about. So in this section of Bhagavatam, Jiva Goswami's argument is like this. So in this section, first canto, chapter 7, verses 4 through 8. So the heart of Vyasadeva is mentioned, what he is seeing in his samadhi. So he sees the jivas bewildered by Maya, yaya samohito jiva. And what is the bewilderment? That although they are transcendental to matter, paro api, they think themselves to be products of matter. Atma na trigunatmakam. That is the beginning of suffering. As soon as you think you're a body, then from there you have to start suffering. Isn't it? Like now I'm suffering because I think I'm the body. It's just the way that cookie crumbles. And suppose you don't have a nice body, you suffer so much. Maybe you think I am fat, I am skinny, I am ugly. And that way the mind just gives you a whole sort of so much trouble. So this is called as anartam. To think that I'm a body is called as an anartha. Takritam cha abhipadite. From that anartha, all your sufferings will begin. So we can understand that the root cause of all suffering is anartha. And the anartha is, I think I'm this body. That is the anartha. So you should hear devotees, they trying to figure out what is the cause of this suffering. What is it? They're having like Ishta Goshtis to figure out what is the root cause. No need to discuss. Bhagavatam was telling you think you are the body. That's why you were suffering. That's why I'm suffering also. That's why I get envious of you. Your body is cuter than mine. So when you post on Instagram, you get 1,000 likes. When I post, I get 5. So I get envious. That's because of the bodily concept of life. Envy is coming. When I lead kirtan, everyone's just looking spaced out. When you lead kirtan, everyone's dancing in ecstasy. So what is this nonsense? All these devotees are insincere. So this is called anartha, and the root cause of the anartha is I think I'm his body. Any suffering that you're going through, especially the mental one, it is only because of that. So you'll fight with the external energy. You'll say, no, this one is the cause of the problem. That one is the cause. That one is the cause. That one is the cause. That's wasting so much time. Actually, the cause is you only think you are the body. So then how do you get rid of this anartha? It doesn't go away. If I say you're not the body, as soon as the class get over, you say, I'm hungry. Isn't it? No one who realizes that you're not the body. So how to get rid of the anartha upashaman saksha bhakti yoga adokshaja. So this anartha can be directly reduced, mitigated, anartha upashaman saksha bhakti yoga adokshaja, by direct devotional service to the Supreme Lord, known as adokshaja. Lokasya ajanato vidvam chakra satuta samhitam. But lokasya ajanato, the people in this world don't know this. They don't know that, first of all, what is the root anartha? They don't know. And they don't know how to mitigate the anartha. Therefore, they're trying to fix the problem by adding some more anarthas on top. Tadosh, what is that? Dukoshadam ta'apitu kamatadiyaham. We were mentioning this verse on Sunday. Because they don't know what is the root problem. So dukkha oshadam, they try to find some remedy for the problem, right? You go through some suffering and you try to find some remedy, right? Before you were devotee, especially. You know, weed is a common one amongst sinners. Dukkha oshadam, but that remedy, dukkam, that remedy is itself dukkha. Because you have anartha, you don't know what is the root cause. So you try to solve it by putting another anartha on top to solve the issue. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying, dukkha oshadam tadapi dukkam atadiyaham. That your remedy for the dukkha is itself dukkha. Now your suffering is increasing. So how to mitigate this anartha? Anartha upashaman saksha bhakti yoga adokshade. By direct bhakti yoga. It's so sad to hear when the devotees are going through problems and the guru will say, Hare Krishna. What answer is this? They're not practical. Everyone says that they're not practical. We also say like that, right? You ask some serious question about like suffering, your suffering, human condition. And then the guru says, you should hear deeply and chant. You're like, and then they say, does that answer your question? It's like a setup. You go, yes, good. It's so fake. Because you have to say yes. You can't say, no, it doesn't answer my question. Only the person who is not devoted, he will challenge. No, that doesn't answer my question at all. But actually, that is the answer to the question. Your suffering is anartha. And this is how you get rid of anartha, by direct bhakti yoga. Lokasya janato, the people in this world do not know that. So therefore, chakre satata samhitam. So Vyasadeva is given the Srimad Bhagavatam to inform them. So in other words, the bhakti yoga in this verse is, in relationship to your question, the bhakti yoga in this verse is sadhana bhakti, because you can't teach prema. You can't teach love. That's divine emotion. You can't teach that. But you can teach the path that can get that divine love. So the people don't know about that. So out of his mercy, he gave Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasya vai shriyamanayam Krishna paramapurushe bhakti padyate purusa shoka moha bhaya apa. So for those who take hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam very seriously, the Bhagavatam parama Krishna parama purusha, unto Krishna, the Supreme Purusha, then bhakti padyate purusa, then they will develop prema, or prema will manifest in them. Shoka moha bhaya apaha, and there's no more shoka. Shoka means lamentation. No more fear, no more bewilderment. As a side benefit of having developed that love for Krishna. So yes, Krishna is easy to please, and we want that experience of doing so. So Srila Vyasadeva has given us Srimad Bhagavatam. The Goswamis have given us commentary. All the acharyas have come down. They've also given commentary. Srila Prabhupada came and started his movement, gave so much commentary. Now his devotees and other devotees also around the world are continuing that process so that we can actually get the experience of pleasing Krishna. We know Krishna is pleased by these simple acts of devotion, but now we want the experience of that. And depending on how badly you want that experience, then that badly you will do bhakti yoga. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham puram. Tivrena means with intensity. So according to the intensity of your desire, then there will be intensity of reciprocation. So if our intensity isn't there, so there won't be so much intense reciprocation also. So you remain without experience, and then you say, I don't know if this process is working. And then you might go back to material energy for some time. But because material energy is consistent and busting us up, and we like, let me go back and try this again with a little more intensity. And that way we may get this bhakti yoga experience. Having known that it pleases Krishna, we will get the experience of so doing so. Like this. All right. Thank you all very much for tolerating me. I'm not as lively as I usually am or animated, but I did the best that I could. Before we close out, are there any other realizations or reflections? I always ask for one or two. Bolo, what did you hear? Dun, 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 dun,
It's amazing to realize that you constantly need to keep hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, how important it is, and constantly being engaged in the bhakti yoga.
Yes. Nice.
Because your mind is like wild, just wanders off on and on, and you are telling people leave the movement and they come back. Mind is like crazy. So it constantly needs to be absorbing something other material and spiritual energy.
If you have ability, one good thing to try out is learning verses. Then your mind takes a little bit of time to learn the verses also. Then your mind will be filled up with that some more. Then when you rise in the morning, you can chant slokas, and when you're talking with friends, you can chant some verses. It's very nice. It feels very inspiring when you're able to be like Krishna conscious for like, even if it's like 5 minutes and then back to normal. Travis, what did you hear?
I like the story about, I forgot the people's names, but like the offering of the banana peels on accident in comparison to that giant, like really nice, tent.
Yeah.
So basically, what's more important is the intention and the devotion that you have behind the offering. Your offering.
Yes. And our acharyas mentioned that intention is no matter what, I'll never leave Krishna. I may be fool rascal number 1, but I'll not leave Krishna. That determination, and we'll hear this in 9:30 also, that determination alone is very pleasing. That I may be fool rascal number 1, but I will never leave Krishna. I may go to hell also, but I will not give up his or his feet. Just by that attitude, then we'll see Krishna's like, Jai. Out of this whole existence was made just for this, giving you that attitude. And now it's just a matter of time before you manifest beautifully. Thank you all very much. Hari Om Tat Sat. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ki Jai. Jai. Let me end string.